How much fall damage can you take? I mean, obviously we all know the answer is 99 fall damage. That would leave you with 1 health, and that'd be the max amount of fall damage you could take. However, that's not really what I'm interested in. No, you see, I want to know how high can you fall from to the point where you'll take no damage at all? I mean, what is the lowest point you can fall from in which you're guaranteed to take fall damage? What is the highest point you could fall from and survive? And at what point does falling from a certain height guarantee you'll be eliminated? All these questions and more, plus a few interesting things you might not have known about fall damage, are going to be answered in today's video. With all that being said, stick around. Let's talk about the science of fall damage. Hey everyone, this is Syntax, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the science of fall damage. Now before I get started, like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm going to be going over a lot of what damages you take at what heights, how low you have to fall from to guarantee you take damage, how high you can fall from without taking any damage at all that important stuff. But first we have to go over a couple important measurements we're going to be using to be calculating our falling potential. So I have them all written right here. Did a little bit of research, found out how tall walls were, found out how tall we are, and then did some own calculations for myself just so we could have a frame of reference when we're going up this giant Tower of Doom. As you can see, it says a wall is 3.84 meters or 12.5 feet roughly. The Fortnite character is a little less than half that wall, standing at 6.0695 feet, and one 32 snap. By 32 snap, I mean if I grab this and have my grid snap on 32, as you can see, it's right there. The distance between that gap is exactly 0.116 meters, 0.381 feet, or exactly 4.572 inches, so about 4.5 inches. If you couldn't have guessed, the gap between here and this top one is actually 33 because we're going from point to point, but it's a 32 snap, so technically before I reach the top, the gap for this wall is 32, which makes sense because it's a 32 snap after all. Anyway, now that we have all the numbers out of the way, let's look at the science of fall damage. If you are standing at just under 3.5 walls tall, as you can see, I'm about 3.5 walls up, which is 13.144 meters or 43.123 feet, and you just go ahead and walk off. As you can see, I have this white barrier here to stop me from drifting too much. If you walk off at this height, you are guaranteed to take exactly 0 fall damage. So what that means is that from this point and anywhere below it, if you fall from there, you are guaranteed to take 0 fall damage as long as you're just walking off the wall and falling just under 3.5 walls. Now, 132 snap above that, or 4.5 inches at 13.26 meters or 43.504 feet. This is where if you walk off, you are guaranteed to take anywhere from 5 to 10 fall damage. Usually it's 10, but if there's some weird stuff going on, it might be 5. So the max height you can fall from is 13.144 meters without taking any fall damage, and where you're guaranteed to take fall damage is at 13.26 meters, which is only a 4.5 inches difference. Jumping up to 13.608 or 44.646 feet, this is where you're guaranteed to take anywhere from 11 to 12 fall damage. As you can see, I went from 40 to 29, which is 11 damage, but usually it varies from 11 to 12, so right above that, you will take 11 to 12 fall damage. Moving up from about 3.5 walls to 4 walls, standing at 15.36 meters or 50.394 feet, this is where you are going to take about 19 fall damage. As you see, I can walk off here and I have 81 health, so I lost exactly 19 damage. So falling from 4 walls tall is going to yield about 19 fall damage. So you saw that jump from about 3.5 walls to 4 walls. We took 18 more damage, so you might think that from 4 to 5 walls we're going to take 16 more damage because it would double, right? Wrong. That isn't how science works. See, the longer you're in the air for a certain amount of time, you're going to build more momentum, which yields more fall damage. So once you reach 5 walls, you're falling from 19.2 meters or 62.992 feet, you are going to lose almost half your health. It's usually 48 to 49, so we should see that I go down, yes, to about 32, so that was 49, but sometimes it's 48. So at 5 walls, you're going to lose about half your health. Now, at 23.04 meters or 75.591 feet, or 6 walls, you are going to take about 97 to 98 fall damage. As you can see, if I just step off here and I fall down, it's going to yield 97 fall damage. Now, if you didn't read it already, just 4.5 inches above the 6 wall mark is actually where you're going to take 99 fall damage. So if I fall from here, you should see that I have exactly 1 health, and the exact measurements for that in terms of meters and feet are 23.156 meters or almost 76 feet. And the lowest point in which you can fall, where you're guaranteed to take 100 fall damage, stands at just over 6 walls, 232 snaps at 23.272 meters or 76.352 feet, which is basically 9 inches above the 6 wall mark. This is where you are guaranteed every time to take 100 fall damage. Obviously, this is cool and all, and everything past this isn't really useful information, but I think it's interesting information, so stick around if you want to learn some cool things. To my genuine surprise, exactly 332 snaps above 7 walls, or at 27.228 meters, or 89.528 feet, you're going to still take exactly 100 fall damage. As you can see, I am now just 332 snaps above the 7th wall, and if I walk off, you're going to see that it yields still exactly 100 fall damage. It is not until we reach 432 snaps above the 7th wall, which is at 27.344 meters, that we will actually take more than 100 fall damage. So as you can see, when I walk off, we take 101 fall damage. Now this is interesting because we can see almost a 4-meter gap between where we initially take 100 fall damage and where we're still taking 100 fall damage. So I'm not sure why this works the way it does, but that's the science of fall damage. Moving up to 8 walls tall, standing at just over 30 meters and just over 100 feet, you are going to take approximately 131 fall damage by just walking off the platform. Standing at 9 walls tall at 34.5 meters or 113.386 feet, you're going to see that I take 165 fall damage. Now I'm at exactly 10 walls or 38.4 meters. When I walk off, I will take 199 fall damage. Now, as I was making this, I started to notice a pattern once I hit the 8th wall. See, from wall 8 to wall 9 to wall 10, I noticed that I was taking the same amount of damage every time I went up a wall. That damage just so happened to be 34 damage. So once you reach the 8th wall, every time you go up a wall, when you fall from that height, you're going to take exactly 34 more fall damage for an infinite amount of height because you have reached your max velocity heading downward. So using this, I decided to not mark the 11th, 12th, 13th wall all the way up to where it maxes out the damage counter, but I just did some simple math, and I actually concluded that if we head up to here, right at 18 and 25, 32 snaps, or 72.02 meters, or 236.28 feet, this is where you take 499 fall damage. Just to prove it to you guys, I'm going to walk off here, fall all the way down, and as you can see, 499 fall damage. Now, if you couldn't guess, exactly 4.5 inches above that, standing at 18 and 26, 32 snaps of walls, or 72.136 meters, this is where I'm going to take 500 fall damage. Now, why is 500 fall damage important? Well, first, let me just show you that I am guaranteed to take this fall damage. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, I took 500 fall damage, but that's not the important part. See, what's interesting to me is 500 fall damage is where Epic caps their fall damage display numbers. As you can see, if I fly up from my 500 fall damage and I fall from here, it's going to still say 500 fall damage. Of course, even though it says 500 fall damage, we know this isn't accurate because we concluded you take 34 more fall damage for every wall you go up from the 8th wall. I went all the way up to the creative heights. I went as high as creative would let me, and I put a marker up there. And in fact, up here is where you're going to take the max fall damage. Placing walls from the ground floor all the way up to max height just so happens to be 62 walls. Now I know if I were to fall from here, it would show me that I would take 500 fall damage. But, in fact, when you do the math, you find out that 62 walls tall, if it were to stay consistent all the way up using that 34 more fall damage per every wall, for 62 walls, well, technically for 54, but if you were to use that math, you find out that if you were to fall from this height, it would yield exactly 1,967 fall damage. And I mean, yeah, sure, that's cool and all, but that's just from 62 walls high. We can actually go a lot higher. What if I turn my flight speed up to 3 times and then fly as fast as I can, as high as I can, above the world barrier or the max height limit? How high can I get using the fly trick? Well, let's find out. So my plan is to just fly straight up to the max height limit, go as high as I can, and then let myself fall and see how many meters that is. So here we go. I'm flying up. I'm actually gonna do that one more time, a little bit more straight up and down, just so it seems a little more fair. Here we go. That's relatively straight up and down. This should be pretty good. 318 meters. I'm gonna turn my phase off and then just go straight up with it and see what I can get to. 318 meters. Would you look at that? I think that first test was a little flawed, but after those two, you can see we got 318 meters back to back, which is interesting because that would actually be the highest you can fall from Fortnite. How much damage would that yield though? Let's find out. Well, if you take 318, divide it by 3.84, which is exactly how tall a wall is, we find out that falling from that height is actually 82.8125 walls. Well, if we were to just fall from 82 walls high, that would actually yield a number of 2,788 fall damage, which is absolutely ridiculous. But we have to account for the 0.8125 at the end of the 82, which, in total, the max amount of fall damage you can actually take in Fortnite right now, if you're in creative, flying all the way out, then dropping from 318 meters. If someone finds a way to get higher, please let me know, because I couldn't think of anything. Max damage you can take in Fortnite is 2,815 fall damage. That is pretty ridiculous. And I mean, that's cool and all, but technically, it isn't true. No, you see, something interesting that I actually found out while making this video is that fall damage doesn't work in numbers. It actually works as a percentage. Now, I understand that may be a bit of a confusing statement, but let me show you what I mean. See, if you remember, if we fall from 5 walls, it says we take 48 to 49 fall damage. As you can see in the bottom left, I have 10,000 health. Technically, if this were to be true, if I walk off this edge, it will leave me with 9,952 or 51 health, right? Well, to my surprise, it actually leaves us with about half of our health. So, fall damage doesn't really work as a number, it works as a percentage. So while these are all numbers relative to Battle Royale, because you're never going to have more than 10 or 100 health in, let's say, a solo cash cup, it's still interesting to understand that when you're falling from these heights, you're not losing your health, you're losing guaranteed percentages of your health. With this new scale, the new number wouldn't be 2,815 fall damage. No, we'd have to multiply that by a big number. 2,815 just so happened to be a much larger percentage of our health than 100, so we have to keep that percentage consistent. And it turns out to be the max fall damage you can take in Fortnite is 281,500 fall damage. And now that you know that, I guess you have something to brag about. Anyway, guys, there you have it, the full science of fall damage in Fortnite. This video was super interesting to make, and I really hope you got something from it because, you know, as I said, fall damage doesn't deal with numbers, it deals with percentages. And all these different heights you can fall from are going to yield different percentages of health, take different percentages away. And I just think it's really interesting information to know. And now that you know what the max fall damage is, you can go tell everyone you know or tell them to watch this video to learn something new about fall damage. Anyway, guys, I hope this video helped you out. And yeah, this has been Syntax. Later.